Here we are. Let's see if this is working again. Everybody, I invited Ondrej, the guest of today, and I hope everyone can hear me. If anyone can, please send me a message, drop a message in the chat, will be very helpful. I don't know if everybody can hear me properly and see me properly. I guess so. I invited Ondrej Soukup, the guest of today. Ciao Samuele, sei forte Pietro. Ciao Agnese, conosco lo sfondo. Bravo, sì, sono a casa. I'm home, just for a week, and I will be back in London next week. So, yeah. Hi Jerome. Hello everybody in the chat. I just invited Ondrej. Let's see if he's online or not. Let me check. So, hey Ondrej, you're in the chat. I just invited you. Ah, fantastic.
Hey Pietro.
That's it. How are you? All good?
Good to see you. You well?
Very good. Welcome to Sunday's Musician Café.
Thank you for having me.
No worries, no, it's a pleasure. And actually, what are you drinking at the moment? Coffee, tea?
I'm definitely on tea. I'm afraid I'm not a coffee person. I'm definitely on tea.
Very good.
And I have to say, in recent months, I've gotten onto loose leaf tea, and I've actually stopped putting milk, stopped putting something else. Just drink actually pure black tea, which is lovely.
Wow. Hardcore, eh? I'm a coffee person. I'm a coffee person. As I'm Italian, I can't live without coffee, and I can't help myself and not drink coffee in a Sunday afternoon. Okay, how are you? All good?
Very good, thank you. I'm just ahead of a few busy weeks, which I'm really looking forward to.
Fantastic.
But, yeah, enjoying the invitation, and yeah.
How about you? Good. I'm very happy that you were able to make this happen, and yeah, very good. I'm in Italy until Tuesday next week, and I will be back in London next week. So the background is a bit different because it's my home, and yeah. Sorry.
Is there a piano behind you?
Yeah, actually, yes, a very old piano, completely out of tune, but those one of the old but gold,
Yeah.
like don't shoot on the pianist. Those kind of ones. Yeah, very good. So guys, let me introduce the guest of today. So Ondrej is a very dear friend to me, and not only an extraordinary musician, conductor. So Ondrej, we studied together basically in college, right? So we did the master degree at the same time. So we 2020, 2022. So those years exactly. So we met there. We met at Royal College of Music in London, and yeah, Ondrej is a very versatile musician, and he's very imaginative. And working with him, I worked personally with you many times, and we did a couple of productions as well in London, and it's always very much a pleasure to work with you and to make music together. And actually, he's a very good leader, and that's. I mean, I hope we can speak about this a bit more, because how to manage leadership, how to handle an orchestra, right? And we often think that the conductor is just keeping the tempo, but he actually is not. He's so much more. And you will tell us, You will tell us today what did you discover in all of these years?
Sure.
And so Ondrej has conducted the BBC Scottish Symphony Orchestra, the Czech Chamber Philharmonic. Are you Czech, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, and many other orchestras, and and he regularly assists Ryan Bancroft with the BBC. He did some master classes with Martin Brabins. Also in college, you had the experience to conduct with Vengerov, if I don't, am not mistaken.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
Yeah, that was very nice. It was very nice. I think I was in the orchestra at that time.
Yeah, you definitely were.
I was. It was fantastic. And at the moment you're in Denmark, correct? And how is it going there? You're happy? You're doing a fellowship there, right?
Yes, exactly. Well, first of all, thank you for a lovely introduction.
No worries.
We did indeed meet at college, and happened to be a really good timing for both of us to be there at the same time. Did lots of nice projects. Maybe just a little word about that. You know, I especially enjoyed when we recorded Bruch's violin.
Yes.
Sorry, the Scottish fantasy.
The Scottish fantasy.
Was very nice, and I also cherish memories of Shostakovich 9, which was very nice.
Yeah, it's true. I was leading that.
Exactly.
It's true.
With a beautiful violin solo. So that was really nice. And you're absolutely right. Right now, I'm in Denmark doing a fellowship at the Royal Danish Academy of Music.
Wow.
So actually, I have a project with them the next couple of weeks. We're doing Beethoven's 4th Symphony.
Oh, we played that together.
We played that together as well, indeed.
Very good, very good.
So we're doing that, and I'm actually doing the same symphony I'm doing later with another program later this spring. I think it's in Aalborg, which is one of the biggest Danish cities in north Denmark. And the same week, next week, I'm with the Copenhagen Phil, which is their official name. I'm doing some opera repertoire. So that's kind of all part of the fellowship, like you mentioned, that I'm doing here in Denmark. And actually, the next few weeks are quite busy with this. So there's this. We're also in Odense, in Aarhus, and some other projects we have here.
Wow, that's very good. That's very good for you, and you're very active as usual. I mean, I really love working with you because we worked in the past and hopefully in the future again, because you really give a lot of enthusiasm to the projects, and and really you push for the best, and I really like this kind of attitude, and I think it's actually probably one of the main reasons why I want to still work with you, and to have this very good insights from your side, and this approach of very active producing a lot, and that's very good. And I thank also to your ability as a leader, right?
Sorry?
Thanks to your ability as a leader as well. So
thank you for saying.
Yeah.
And maybe I can, since we want to talk about this, maybe start.
Please tell us, how do you manage 60 people in an orchestra, and what do you say to people to convince them to play what you want?
Yeah, well, first of all, maybe I start in a slightly wider context. I mean, lots of my friends and lots of people I meet, but also lots of people who've known me for many, many years. They tell me like, wow, it must be amazing. You just have 60 or 100 or 200 people, and you just tell them what to do, and it must be amazing. I mean, it's definitely on paper sounds fantastic, and in real life it is also fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but it is perhaps the role is perhaps not as quite like people I think imagine. I think it's the same or very comparable to what I imagine personally about being a CEO of a company. You're a CEO of a company. People think that you just tell people what to do. But as we both know, the kind of, let's say nowadays, old school style of dictator conductors is no longer current, and I think for good reason. And I think it comes down to when you, like you say, when you come into a room of 60 musicians or 100 or even 5 or 10, doesn't matter. Yeah. At the end of the day, you're a human being. They're human beings. They have. I always remind myself that people, let's say in the violin section, like you will have practiced the violin since you were maybe 3 or 5, and you spend hours every day.
Correct.
So I always try to remind myself about that. And so in other words, it's not that you just tell people what to do, because then that's also not fun, because if it's just about you, then why are we there?
Yeah.
So that's a short introduction.
No, that's actually already interesting because it brings up a couple of questions already. Like, I mean, as a violinist myself and a musician in general, I would be very skeptical of the idea of someone telling me how to interpret a piece. Maybe he doesn't even play the instrument I play. So how do you convince me that what you're thinking of the music is the right thing to do altogether?
I mean, it's such a brilliant question, and again, it's something that I think it's good to remind yourself as a conductor. You know, you walk into either like we did together. You know, you're with friends, or maybe next week with the Copenhagen Phil. I had the orchestra before, so everybody's new to me. But you know, either in either situation, you're walking into a room where everybody's so well qualified and they have plenty of ideas about the music themselves. So for you just to say, well, this is the way we're doing it, and there's no other options, then you know that's quite limiting. And I think can work for some people, and you know, nothing against that. But I think a lot if you just do that approach, I think you turn a lot of people off. So what I try to do, obviously you do have to have ideas about the music because the musicians will also have ideas, and hopefully you bring something together. So I think what I try to do is you know, I come into the room well prepared. I have ideas about the music. Some ideas are maybe important for me that I try to share with the room. Somewhere I have ideas also, but maybe I take something from the orchestra. It could be something about dynamics, maybe a phrasing in a Mozart piece, maybe one I haven't thought about before.
I see.
One that seems to work better for the acoustic if we're in a church, you know, maybe a tempo even.
Yeah.
You try to be open and you kind of share the experience, and because ultimately, you know, if it was ultimately the music making that we're doing is live. If you want to listen to recordings, then if you're coming into a live music making experience, then I think the process should also be live, and you should be open as a conductor to things that the musicians offer.
You brought a very important point. I think is the music that we play normally is made for a live experience, and obviously recordings are very important and goals for us, and we can learn from everybody in this way, you know, like be very broad and you know, like open our mind on different interpretations that maybe we wouldn't be able to listen to if we without any recordings. But it's true that actually the live experience is so different. And I want to actually ask you something about this, because I always wondered if actually like conductors, do you practice the way you stand, the way you actually appear, so the body language, do you actually practice in front of a mirror how to actually move your body, because it's live, right? So we know very well that non-verbal communication is 70% or even more, both for the audience or for the musicians. So do you actually practice that?
Again, such a good question, and again, one I have been coming back to over the years.
Okay.
It's such a good question, because if I'm a clarinet player or I'm a violin player, then I mean, for me to get better, the obvious answer is I get an instrument somewhere, hopefully, and then I can just be in a practice room where I can practice. I can put in the hours, and of course, even as an instrumental player, it's important to listen to recording, read, etc., etc. You okay?
Yeah, sorry.
But you know, a lot of the work, let's say, I imagine it's done when you're just with your violin and you're working on something. Whereas for a conductor, I would say that the job is in many ways the same, but in aspects it's so different, because you have many other aspects of it that are, I think, differentiated, or they need to give attention to.
I see.
Because of course there's a one part of it is the technical part, where of course you have to learn how to, this is a pattern of 4, this is a pattern of 3.
Yeah, sure.
You know, some right hand, left hand independence. Of course, that's motoric, and it takes some time for you. And in some ways, it's I guess it's like gymnastics.
Okay, yeah.
Moving that way.
Yeah.
At the same time, obviously.
I mean, you obviously, sorry to interrupt you, but you obviously rely on some movements that you're using them as a pattern, right? So you know for sure that this kind of movement with the arm or whatever, you do it because you want something, right? So obviously this is like, right. So you have a selection of movements which are patterns for you.
Yeah, well, I guess I would say it's if I'm a clarinet player, then it's a certain finger combination that's going to give me one note, octave or octave and a half about clarinet. So that part of it I don't want to think about.
Okay.
So you need to do some even without music, you just need to get your body used to beating it, of course, you don't have to think about it. But then having said that, then there's the part which is the much more interesting part, which is like we said, the live part, where hopefully if Pietro is playing solo violin and I offer him something with my hands, then hopefully that translates as some emotion or character to you, and that's live in the moment. And the only way of practicing that for a conductor is with people in the room.
This is very interesting. I mean, I have so many questions, obviously, as a musician, and I have to select them. But I mean, yeah, no, I mean, and please feel free also to ask me if from your perspective. I mean, I think this is good for our audience also to see the both perspective if we want to. But for example, normally we say that conductors, they give us like the objective, right? As musicians. So why we need a conductor? Because all together we have different point of views, and when we all, it's kind of a, I wouldn't say hierarchy, but it is in a way. In which like the conductor is the one showing the direction for the music. So we are all together also when when things go wrong or when things go right. So I don't know, what do you think about this?
Yeah, again, it's such an interesting complex thing, because I think you're right. Certainly, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not in favor of a dictatorial
absolutely
with the orchestra where you just tell people what to do.
Yeah,
I don't think that works. Definitely doesn't work for my personality. So, but in some ways, you're right. Somebody has to make some decisions, and there are actually orchestras, where there's no conductor. But on several layers, there are moments when having a conductor is a good idea, and that's not just me as a conductor saying that, obviously, because I like doing it. But if you have 10 or 20 or 100 really, really great musicians, then what you would hope for is that all of them have different ideas. You don't want to have the same ideas. So when you have to make decisions, and
it's actually a value. It's a added value.
Hopefully, I mean that's the ideal. Hopefully, it adds value. But there's so many perspectives. But one of the perspectives is a practical one. And nowadays, we always worry as artists, about funding, and we want. I mean, the ENO, opera, orchestra, BBC singers, all those kind of.
You work with ENO as well, right?
I did a private master class with Martin Robbins. Yeah,
fantastic.
Which was great. And those kind of groups which are at top of the bill, even they have to worry about funding. So coming back to the role of the conductor, even there, you in many ways you are making the whole process with many artists with lots of ideas. You just make it more efficient, because if we have, as a symphony orchestra, if we're doing a program each week, a symphony, maybe a concerto, or maybe 2 symphonies nowadays, that doesn't matter. But you have a different program every week. Maybe in London, different program every day, every 2 days. If you don't have a conductor, of course it's possible to play together. Of course it's possible to make decisions. But the process for everyone to agree, where do we phrase to? Do we phrase to the 3rd bar, to the 4th bar? Et cetera, et cetera. It just takes more time. So in many ways, as a conductor, you're there to make the process more efficient.
Yeah, that's the point. I mean, it's basically speeding up the process, right? Sometimes, I mean, not only obviously, but you are is a very important role of speeding up the process to make it efficient as well. And no, that's really good. Talking about leadership again, do you think, I mean, on your experience, okay, so you tell me, what did you experience? Do you think it's easier to work with people that you know, like friends, or it's easier actually to work with professionals that you never met before, and you just meet them for that production, and maybe there is kind of a different perception from musician side, or also for you? I don't know. What would you prefer?
Brilliant question. I think this so depends on your personality as a conductor.
Okay.
I've actually been, similar to our talk just now, I've been listening to some podcasts with conductors and with other musicians,
nice. Which one?
So this is called, it's done by Michael Seal, who's a well-known, successful conductor, originally a violin player, I think, in the Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. So
it's not marketing, guys. Don't worry, they are not paying us. I mean, I wish, but
I've never real life. So I can't be doing any marketing for him. But anyway, very interesting podcast, and he had a guest on there, also a famous conductor, mostly a conducting teacher, well known, and he was saying that him personally, he prefers working with people he knows because he's a bit shy. So some conductors like to come into a fresh slate, just having right now, I don't know anyone, and we can just make music.
You're not shy, definitely. You're not definitely shy. I mean, you're maybe introvert. You're maybe a bit introvert, but you're not shy. Am I correct? Yeah. Or what do you think?
We can let the audience judge.
I mean, I definitely, for example, what you do, which is very interesting for the audience, and it's not that common. You actually introduce the concept the most of the time. So you speak to the audience, right? So you talk to them, you speak, thank you for coming here. You cheer them, you welcome everybody. And that, I think, is, a sign of like connecting with the audience. I really like that. And I really appreciate it. The first time I saw you doing that, I said, this guy knows how to deal with the audience because he wants to build a connection, trust, right? And they hear him talk, and with his voice, because sometimes we don't even hear the voice of the conductor because that's not our role as musicians to speak. But actually, it makes the whole picture of the musician or who is on the stage less distant, right? It's less distant. It's like a human being. He speaks, he talks, he makes jokes, he makes us laugh, and that's very good. At the same time, it's very risky because you are becoming a friend, and you are like, you are opening doors for judgments, right? And it's risky, but I mean, it takes a lot of courage, and I think you're not shy because of that. That's why I said you're not shy. Because you take the risk, and I like it very much. I'm very much like you. But what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just I totally agree with what you're saying, and that's also why I like doing it. Obviously, not every situation is appropriate for you. Not in every situation is appropriate for you to do it. I've had moments, actually, also with professional orchestras, where I was asking them, "Would you like me to say something to the audience?" They say no. Not to. I think it depends on the country.
Okay.
In general, if it's appropriate, if the moment is right, I do like to say something because I myself, as an audience member, I've been to so many concerts.
Of course.
And of course, at the end of the day, the music speaks to you, and if the music speaks, then you don't need any words. And in some ways, words take away from the experience.
Yeah, it's true.
As a young kid, I remember, sitting in the orchestra, maybe 12, 13 years old, and there was long speeches, and they weren't really connecting with anyone, and that's the last thing you want, of course. So the words can get in the way of the music, but if you say something that like you said, relates the experience to the audience right now, which is what we come back to what we spoke about earlier, making it a live experience, making it right.
Yes.
We don't just play it, and then we just play it. We play it for you.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, but first of all, guys, I mean, I forgot to say it, but because Ondrej mentioned that he was sitting in the orchestra because he's a trumpet player, and I think we didn't mention this, right? Or did we say it? No, but he's a very, very good trumpet player, so he knows how to play an instrument actually. So many people normally they think the conductor doesn't know how to play an instrument, when actually the case is the opposite. That a lot of good conductors, they actually musicians, instrumentalists before. But coming back to that approach of with the audience, I mean, I guess you don't do it just for the music. The introduction, you basically do it to what we said, to build trust, to captivate the audience. Or maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the best example for me, and this is where I was learning how to do it. I'm still learning, obviously.
Okay.
Speaking with the audience, engaging with them, but actually maybe the best example to give is where I realized this might actually be making a real difference. And it's maybe in a context where you don't expect, still in music, but this was me in my time as an undergraduate student, and also the music director, conductor of the University brass band. So totally music making, different group, different instrumentation, different setup, often different style of music, often much more variety of of styles of music. And you
discovered there that it was actually, first of all, something that you could do, and then second of all, that I mean that you were able to speak without going embarrassed and blocking yourself. It was not counterproductive, but also you experienced that would help the whole live experience, the whole experience.
Exactly, and I think before having that role, I mean, to be honest, this was at the very outset of me being a conductor. But even as a player, I would if ever I would only speak very little, maybe just to say this is the piece I'm playing, enjoy. But in that different context of still concert music, but like I say, it's not orchestra music. It's a totally different context with different what would you say, different way of doing things. It just made me way. And what I noticed is, well, first of all, in a brass band concert, your program is not 3 or 4 pieces. Your program is maybe 2 marches, 3 marches, 1 medley from Greece or from Lemmy, and and test piece. So on the program you would have at least 7, 8 more, more pieces even than that. And so, I would speak a little bit, and the more I tried, in different concerts, actually what I felt was that every time I turned around, we would play some music, and then I'd turn around, or before, address the audience, be in the moment. I don't think I've ever read anything off a page. I just want to be right there again in the moment with the people. I want to see them. I want to see the reaction that does it connect to them? Does it not connect?
Very mindfulness.
So
very good.
And what I discovered very quickly was that in the basically during one concert, if I say something after every piece, every 2 pieces, the experience of us together would be exponentially growing, because now we would be really, like all those cliches that we always speak about and hear about, you and the audience are kind of at one, and you're there for each other. You experience the evening together.
Yeah. It's true. It's very shared. Everything on the stage is very shared, and I agree. I
think, if I can just add one more thing.
Yeah, of course.
But then, if sometimes you go to a concert, and in some ways it doesn't always matter how well the performance goes. You can go to performances which are, I don't know, at a high school, or an amateur orchestra, and sometimes I found that it connects with me more than a note performance which is just kind of done on automat. So it doesn't have to be music, music not perfect, playing, but yeah, I think it's when you're when you don't say something, or when you don't, even with the music playing, music making, when you don't connect with the audience, it's like, well, why is the audience there?
Yeah,
Really care
absolutely. I
about
mean,
them there?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so key to have an impact when we have, just because we said that, right? We said that it's a live experience. It's not something that, I mean, we obviously can record it and listen it again, but the real experience is just
Yeah.
once. And it's so important to have an impact with the audience that makes a difference. No, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. I mean, when people on the stage, I think what I experienced as a musician, the best concerts, they will always, when the orchestra or the group or the ensemble or the duo, whatever, the musician, they were so united together on doing things. Also, the intention you are doing, why you are playing that piece, why you are playing there, and that moment of your life and everything. If you were actually share that together, and I mean, you know each other. I mean, you don't have always to know each other, you know, but that kind of transparency of intentions is so important, that actually makes the whole experience such valuable product, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to know your personal life, you know, but we need to know that we are transparent on the intentions, right? So we are there because of a goal, because of something that we share, and we need to open our hearts in a way in that stage.
For sure. And maybe this is a good time to come back to where we started this conversation about leadership. You know,
Absolutely.
If I am, as a conductor, if I'm just going to be telling, if I'm going to spend my
Exactly.
life telling them only this is how we do it, and if there is no space, if there's no space for the musicians to want to be part of it, you know, and by the way, there are different ways of doing that. You know, like, you know,
Yeah.
Of course, you know, back in the day, maybe 50 years ago, 60 years ago, there were different ways of doing things. You could say definitely many of the conductors were more dictatorial,
Yeah.
but they could also find a way of making it relevant to the people playing for them. You know, so I'm not saying that this is the only way, but at some point you have to relate to, like we said, the audience, but also people who are playing in the orchestra, because if they don't want to be there, if they don't want to be part of the now, then you can be in the now as much as you want as a conductor, and you know, it's not going to come across anyway. Yeah.
This is so important. This is where, and that's why you're a good leader, I think, because you know all of these kind of things. Have you ever experienced, and I think we can, if you don't want to share this with us, and it's fine, but any friction during the actual performance that you experience, like, okay, rehearsal, we all have frictions, but during the actual performance, you experience this kind of wall between you and the musicians that, I mean, it just happened to be, and you were like, okay, I have to carry on, even though, I mean, I can see that they don't want to follow, or not follow, but, you know, like they are not in the same place of open heart and everything, right? Have you ever experienced this?
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I would say, I'll tell you if I remember. Maybe I can think of one example, but maybe if I start with the rehearsal process, I think, I mean, ultimately we're all human beings, and by default, not everyone is going to get along super well with everyone else.
Of course.
Whether they're a conductor or a player, doesn't matter. We're human beings. That, you know, of course, there's going to be people. The more people you meet, and so therefore, if you have an orchestra of 60, maybe there's going to be 1 or 2 or 5. Maybe if you have an orchestra of 100 or 120, there's going to be 12. You know, maybe just 1. You know, so at that point, there's going to be somebody who maybe just wants to do that phrase the opposite way, or
that guy or that girl is always like with an eye there. You're always there, and you're waiting like an eagle.
And
don't
so,
do
you know,
that. Don't do that.
As a conductor, what you have to do is you're going to try your best, or hopefully you will try your best to bring them in the same picture as everyone else. But, you know, it's also a two-way relationship. But anyway, you try your best.
Yeah.
But I think, generally speaking, those kind of things come up more, in my experience, for sure, if they come up in the rehearsal process, because
Okay.
if you're with, doesn't have to be a professional group, but if you're with a group that wants to do their best, and I mean, even when you're at elementary level, you know, of an instrument, everyone is there to do their best. You know, so,
I agree. I totally agree. In fact, I mean, it came to my mind. I mean, he's a controversial figure, but he's a fantastic musician, and I admire him a lot. It was Celibidache, right? Celibidache. He said that the rehearsal process is a long series of no for just the ultimate yes that you will have during the live experience. So, I mean, obviously, is an extreme way to say things, obviously, but it's controversial. But we get the point of like building up a process of hard work to really experience the freedom of interpreting a piece or playing a piece, you know, or showing to the audience what you actually want on the live experience. So there will never be a moment in the rehearsal, I think, in which everything makes sense. I mean, there might be like little spots where like, oh, this went very well, and you actually feel like, wow, I hope this is going to work like the same way. But the whole picture, it will never be in the rehearsal because it's different.
I mean, definitely the difference, the big difference is that in rehearsal you rarely have a chance, especially if it's a long work, to do a whole run. And
true as well.
Yeah. But if I can just come back to one thing that you mentioned, you know, like you were asking me, you know, is there some time when it comes up in performance that, you know, somebody doesn't maybe do what you whatever.
Yeah.
I think part of why, if it happens more in rehearsal, is because, like I said, you know, everyone wants to do their best, and even if your difference is with the conductor or with the player, then still you should want to, if you're a professional, if you have a professional attitude, you should want to do the collective best and work.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, of course it happens, you know, that maybe you have a different idea about dynamic.
Don't mention any names. Don't mention any names or place.
Yeah, I would say especially it tends to be maybe in solo passages, but then I'm just thinking, I mean, at that point, I always try to encourage a personal approach as well, as long as it makes sense, you know, in the architecture of the piece. So yeah, maybe that's a moment. But...
Okay. Well, I mean, that was really, really interesting. Thank you so much, Ondrej, for sharing all of your experience. And yeah, I mean, I hope as much we can do here for half an hour, we just enlightened up a bit what does it mean to be a conductor, which are the feelings of being a leader, which are the tricks and, you know, and tips for leadership. And yeah, I mean, I'm very happy you joined this session, and hopefully we work together in the next future. I mean, very soon, I hope. And yeah, thank you so much for coming to this live. Next week we have another one, so I will keep everyone posted, and please join us as well in the chat if you want. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
Pietro. Have a lovely Sunday.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for listening, and see you soon. Take care.
See you soon. Bye bye. Ciao. Okay, so thank you so much, guys. We are 7 in the chat at the moment, and I saw many friends coming in the chat, and hopefully this is going to be happening every Sunday, Sunday Musician Café. And please give me any comments or feedback you would like to share with me, and if you want to talk of specific topics, please ask me, send me a message, private DM, if you would like to. And yeah, so stay tuned for next Sunday. We'll have a very special guest and an instrumentalist, so it will be very interesting. I will close the live now, and have a lovely Sunday, everyone. Thank you so much for joining.